All right, so we are going to go through chapter 23 today. This is pretty much the Great Depression and the New Deal. Okay, so let's just take a look at Alfred E. Smith versus Hoover. This is the election of 1928. As you can notice, Smith won only some southern states, whereas Hoover won everything else. So he won kind of in a landslide. All right, so the big ideas to know here is that Herbert Hoover is all about traditions, right? Businesses can regulate themselves. He's going to encourage Americans to be patient and just work hard. Economic times will be okay. He's going to be all about providing loans to railroads and banks to help them move through the times of the late 20s. However, his failures are going to be that he maintains the gold standard despite the fact that Europe all jumped ship on that. And then he's also going to sign into law the Smoot-Hawley tariff, which increases tariffs on imports, further hurting Europe. So you got to remember, post-World War I, Europe is pretty financially devastated, and now we're going to do this to them. This is not going to make them very happy. Okay, so with the crash of the markets, with the failings of the economy, with the struggles of everybody losing their jobs, they're going to lose their houses, and this is going to lead to something called Hoovervilles, the idea that they're living in shanty towns made up of shacks. They're trying to just basically survive with minimal access to anything. He's going to create a Farmers Holiday Association, which basically just cuts off supplies to urban areas because it's not worth transporting food there. The next thing he's going to do, which is not going to go over well, is when the army comes and these veterans are going to want their pensions, which were promised to them, he's actually going to send the sitting military out to the bonus army camps, which are outside of the capital, to evict them. This is not going to go over well, and this certainly does not make him look good. These are just some different images talking about the rising discontent. If you look at the image on the bottom left, that's the bonus army gathering around the Capitol to protest, demanding their pensions. All right, so we're going to get the election of 1932. Herbert Hoover is going to struggle through his administration once the crash happens. He's really going to push for churches and foundations to help the poor, not the government. He is going to institute one financial-based employment structure construction movement, which is going to be later known as the Hoover Dam. So he is going to build that, but otherwise he's not really going to do much for the Depression. So FDR is going to easily defeat Hoover because everybody's upset and angry with him. They don't like what he's been doing. We're also going to then hit the worst winter that we've seen in a long time. So unemployment is going to continue to grow, and in some cities actually reaches 50%. That's not national. That is just in some cities. State governors are going to begin to start closing banks. So FDR is going to come in and he's going to create government agencies. And these agencies are going to be revolving around the 3 R's. So either relief, the idea that there's immediate financial assistance to those in need. All right, so they're going to get money somehow immediately. There's going to be recovery, the idea that we're going to restore the health of economy. We're going to invest in something so that there's a little bit longer lasting improvement, or there's going to be reform. The idea is we're going to pass laws, legislation, something that's going to prevent a similar disaster in the future. As you can see with the electoral map of 1932, Herbert Hoover had very little chance of winning. Roosevelt took it. Some historians argue anybody could have run against Hoover and they would have won. All right, so some of the things that Roosevelt does. In the first 100 days, he does a banking reform movement, okay, where he shuts down the banks, he audits them, and then only the ones that actually can stand on their own and support their loans and business can open again. He's going to create the agriculture AAA, which is basically let's help farmers out. And then he's going to do some unemployment relief, which is going to put people to work. As you can see, we are going to have a huge rise here, 24.9 by the time we have the election, okay, and unemployment, all right, and it's going to go well, the New Deal, right? We're going to start going down, except now there is going to be cause for a second New Deal if you notice that unemployment spikes again. So we will have 2 New Deals. This is an example of the different CCC camps that are put into place. These are going to build, create different things, libraries, schools, roads, things like that. And if you notice, pretty popular here in Colorado. We get a lot of CCC work here. Okay, so the New Deal, it is going to be under attack. Not everybody is for it. Okay, there's going to be some serious critics. There's going to be one big thing that's going to be Schechter v. the U.S., which is going to rule that the NIRA is unconstitutional. And pretty much what they say is that Congress has superseded their powers, and therefore what they tried to do with the poultry regulations was unconstitutional. And then we're going to get some people who just really don't like what FDR is doing. One of them is going to be Francis Townsend. He is going to be from California. He's going to have an idea of something called the old age revolving pension. And the idea is that Americans over 60 will retire. By doing this, they're going to open up new jobs. These retirees are going to get a monthly pension. But the thing is that they have to spend 100% of that pension every month. There's no savings. They can only spend it. Not totally going to be grasped onto by FDR. Then we're going to have Huey Kingfish Long. He's going to be from Louisiana. He's going to be kind of a strong arm when it comes to politics. He's going to come up with a thing called Share Our Wealth, which basically is a 100% tax on personal fortunes exceeding $1 million. So it's a serious tax on the rich. Elderly are going to get pensions. All right. And then the poorest people are going to get a yearly government income. All of these are really favored by a lot of people. Unfortunately, he will be assassinated, and we will never know if he ran against FDR for presidency if he would have won. A lot of people think he might have. All right, Father Charles Coughlin. He's a radio priest. He's going to turn against FDR when he didn't nationalize banks. So he's going to be very anti-FDR eventually. He's also kind of going to go off the deep end, and he's going to become openly anti-Semitic. And in his radio broadcast, he's going to blame Jewish bankers for the Depression. So he's going to lose a little bit of clout there. All right, so then we're going to get things like the Wagner Act and the Social Security. Social Security, hopefully you know, right? It's essentially kind of a pension. All right, then we're going to have the New Deal liberalism, which is the idea is we're going to preserve individual liberty. All right, and the government needs to assist the needy. All right, and guarantee a basic welfare. So FDR is going to kind of start taking Long and Townsend's ideas, and he's going to add them into his administration and his cabinets. All right, so then in 1936, we're going to have another election. Whereby at the end of that, the WPA is going to put 8.5 million people to work. This is going to energize new voters. So people are going to be like, yay, we love FDR. And then the thing that happens that can be seen as a mark on FDR's administration is the Supreme Court tends to rule some of his new departments unconstitutional or their acts unconstitutional. So then FDR declares his desire to pack the court, which means that we're going to add judges to the court so that he can nominate a number of judges that would favor more his side. And then they would hopefully favor all of the New Deal programs that he's implementing. His concept was to add one member for every judge over 70. This does not happen. Congress does not approve it. And eventually what happens is the Supreme Court judges get irritated by FDR and they just begin to resign. So he gets to nominate his judges anyway. All right, so we are going to organize labor. Women are going to be part of the New Deal to an extent. We're going to have Frances Perkins. She's going to be the first woman in the executive cabinet. She's going to be the labor secretary. And then Eleanor Roosevelt, a very popular public figure. She's very all about the people. Everybody adores her. They write her letters. She sends them jackets that she gathers from her own closet and her friends. She's just a very popular first lady. There are going to be African Americans involved in the New Deal, mostly because segregation exists within all of the New Deal programs. Segregation is practiced. So FDR is going to have something called the Black Cabinet, which he's going to look at for recommendations for change. Not a bunch of change is going to happen, mostly because, remember, he is a Democrat. Democrats are in the South. He doesn't want to lose that base of voters. All right, then there's going to be Native American policy. So we're going to eventually reverse the Dawes Act. Okay, and we're going to terminate the allotment program from 1887. All right, and we're going to repeal the prohibitions on Native American languages, customs, religions. We're also going to give federal grants to local school districts, hospitals, and social welfare agencies to further assist the Native Americans. They're going to get an increase in religious freedom as well as government power. So some good things kind of come for the Native Americans with the New Deal. All right, then we're going to have the Dust Bowl. Okay, so remember, from over farming post-World War I, we weren't taking care of the land, so we depleted the soil of most of its nutrients, leaving a layer of fine dust on the top. So with that, plus just an anomaly of strange weather patterns, we get the Dust Bowl, which is going to lead to a bunch of people leaving, all right, the Midwestern states, and they're going to try to go to California, which is not going to have enough jobs for them. We're going to also build dams. We're going to generate electricity for different areas of the country that didn't have it before. These are going to be more work programs created by the New Deal. All right, and then the other part of the New Deal is that there are liberal arts majors and artists that also need jobs. So the New Deal is going to have a federal art project. So this is going to basically employ artists and writers. They're going to create art. They're going to write plays and books, and this is going to be funded by the New Deal. There's also going to be theater projects for this. So this, along with everything that we've done in class, be sure to have all of this in your notes. Be sure that you have your political figures. Be sure that you definitely have your 5 key events. There's a lot of themes going on in here, as well as sources of conflict. So update your notes, get your big ideas in there, and until next time.